Hey everyone, Margarita here. I want to talk real quick about this crazy weather that's been going on across the United States. The other night there was numerous tornadoes and tornado watches and warnings here in Michigan. I actually slept right through it and I lost power for the majority of that time and wasn't even awake. But then I woke up and seen all the videos and pictures and what had all actually happened. Now, I already released a video on the Fukashima flushing, which is expected to go on for a couple decades. The problem with the weather is the fact that they've been dumping the Fukushima water, the wastewater that's supposedly treated, and I believe what it's called, the byproduct of all that is called tritum or something like that. The problem with all that is it's toxic, and they're dumping it into the Pacific Ocean, which then travels to all of the bodies of water on the entire planet because it's all connected. And it does take about 10 to 14 days to make its way to the Great Lakes area. And I know this because I've been through this a couple times. Where I'm located at here, and my blood-brain barrier is open from my initial carbon monoxide injury. I can't have particles of any kind. They go right through. My son's in the same boat, and I noticed right away a couple weeks ago, he was sick from it first. He must have went outside prior to me going out there or something, and then I was trying to figure out what exactly it was. Then I went out there briefly and it hit me immediately within an hour. I was out there an hour, came back in, and immediately I was suffering extreme symptoms. So that prompted me to then dig further into if they were flushing more from Fukushima, because I had looked at it all initially when it began in 2023, and I knew there was going to be numerous flushes. So I then looked it up. I found the information. That's exactly what it was, because each exposure I had, each explosion or flush or spill, each one has different effects on me. Each one has different symptoms. It's not all exactly the same, but everything loads right into my open brain tissue, floods my entire system, mostly the brain, but it will flood the entire system as well, depending on how much was taken in or what it is. But then I have specific symptoms that aren't illnesses that you would catch, like a contagious virus or something. These are toxic particles from this spill or that explosion or this flush or that one. So I'm used to this. I've been living this way for over 7 years now. So I did some digging. I figured out that it was the Fukushima flushing, and from that point forward, I had released the first video on the Fukushima flushing not all that long ago. And then the very next day after I released it, because it was not supposed to rain, I'm keeping up on the weather because it's the rain that makes it go away. Shortly after I released that video, they had it raining for the entire rest of the week every day. And then I released that video, and then some more rain came, and then all of a sudden all of these tornadoes came about throughout the United States. Not just where I live, it's everywhere because it's blanketing the entire planet. And that's how they get rid of it. It was such a high level, I can't even get my grass cut. I actually had to hire a company because it's so lethal to me that I can't even go outside long enough to get my grass cut. I can't even get one part of it done. So that was the result of that, and I didn't have a choice. So what people don't understand is that geoengineering is real, and some people live in an ignorant cardboard box and don't want to believe that that's what's going on our planet, in our world, in our government. It's actually it's a United Nations thing. It's not just a United States thing. And I have other documentation regarding other matters involving that as well. So I'll get to that way in the future because I'm quite a ways away from talking about that subject. I have so many subjects and knowledge on so many subjects, it's absurd because nobody's forced to live their life the way I am. And geoengineering is very real. I was forced to figure it out once I had my injury. I had no choice because we were so close to death. We couldn't take in particles at all, and our brain tissue was all the way open. It wasn't sealed at any point around our entire brains for some time. And I was forced to learn this, or we weren't going to make it. So from there, I started realizing what was actually going on. I could see the clear picture of everything. There is a guy who is way more advanced with all the knowledge regarding all this than where I'm at with it. His name is Dane Wigington, and he runs geoengineeringwatch.org, so you can check out his website. Everything on his website are all facts. He does have FOIA requested documents from the government that prove everything he's talking about, just in case somebody's in question that any of this is real or it's some conspiracy theory, which that's just a negative connotation that they made up for people who understand the truth of what's going on to make others not believe them, because they don't want the general public believing the realities of what's going on in our world. But because of my condition and my injuries and everything that's gone on, I've been forced to learn all of these things. This was not something that I'd set out to do at any point in my life. I was forced to learn, or we weren't going to survive no matter what. So I did listen to his, he does a weekly broadcast, 1 hour a week, every Saturday, and I did listen to him for quite some time. However, I'm more like knowledgeable about it all now, and I don't really even need to hear unless something crazy is going on, I don't really need to listen to it regularly, because I can tell with my own two eyes and how things work and what's all going on. That I don't really need to listen to it regularly. And he does have information regarding other subjects as well. So everything on that website is 100% facts. And there's other information regarding 5G towers, smart meters, I don't know, all types of things like vaccines, toxins in the food. There's all types of like crazy information on there. But these are all facts that he's got. And he's got FOIA requested documents to back it all up. I didn't need anybody to prove to me anything because of what I was experiencing. When I eventually found his website, I was near death. So I was digging for answers on how this could be or that could be at the time. And that's how I found him. And then when I found his website, I knew I wasn't crazy because I had already figured it out based on what was happening to me. So that's kind of where I started with digging for this information. Same with the wildfires. Those are all man-made. The government has the ability to control the weather. The 5G towers play a role in this. All the crazy weather that's been happening, the tornadoes and the rain, they control all of that. Our weather is over 90% controlled the majority of the time. And it's been for decades. So all of that, there's a greater agenda behind all of this as well. So if you look up Agenda 2030, that plays a role as well, kind of giving you a bigger idea of where things are supposed to be being taken to in the future. And I just know there's a lot of people out here that don't believe this or that, or they don't want to believe because they were told this is true or that's true, and that's just not how things work. You went to school you paid to go to school to learn those things because that's what they want you to know, and they want you to deliver that information further to other people. You didn't learn that information firsthand. That information didn't come to your knowledge by firsthand experience. It came by somebody telling you that. So all of my information became known from firsthand experience. Nobody has ever told me anything. So my life experience is not wrong. What I've been through is not wrong. It's not misinformation. What I'm experiencing is real. So that's part of the reason I've been under such heavy demonic attack the majority of my life. I am here to change the world. I'm here to make big changes in the world. I have a lot of information that's extremely valuable to a lot of people. It's going to change the trajectory of humanity and the planet and where things are going, as long as I'm not taken out first. But I've been at the top of several people's hit list for some time. So I can't ever even get to where I'm going with the information I have to deliver, because all these other things have to be situated before I can even get to that point. So that's what I'm trying to do, is get everything in the initial crimes, everything else I've been dealing with my mother. It all ties in. maybe in a spiritual sense, but that all has to be situated with all those ongoing crimes before I can begin to address what had all come out of that and how I came to learn all of this other knowledge and information that's pertaining to our planet and our world and how things are ran in humanity. I was forced to learn all of that, all due to my mother's crimes for decades. So I have to address the initial situation, get it all situated before I can continue forward, releasing all this other information regarding all these other subjects I have knowledge on. But I know some people don't want to believe that that's real, but it is, and our weather's been, the majority of it's been controlled. They do have the ability to make it rain when there's large spills, just like when Ford down the street from me spills large amounts of gasoline. The geoengineers control that as well. So I'm not exactly sure which agencies, because I've had to call numerous of them and go way above the city a few times, to get it to where we weren't going to die in our own home, because nobody else has an open blood-brain barrier the way we do. And my mother's ongoing crimes are the reason all of these other chaotic events and disasters have come out of that, and they don't believe that that's my reality because of her delusional phone calls to them about me. But it all stems from her involvement in working in the Beaumont medical system for all those decades, falsifying mine and my son's medical records, and leaving us without treatment in an extreme medical emergency. So I was forced to deal with all of this and learn all of this. But they do have the ability to, when large spills like that happen of any kind anywhere, the geoengineers, there's several agencies that control when that happens, and when they get calls that that's the case, certain agencies control when those planes fly out and spray whatever it is they're spraying in the sky, because there's numerous different things they spray, and then that's what causes the rain to happen. So it's all tied together. They do make it rain to flush some of it away. I mean, along the way, because of everything I've been through, I do have proof and pictures and what's going on when and where, and then I have like weather footage from the news at the same time. So I've got numerous sets of things to release. I'm just quite a ways away from releasing all of this information, because I have to do it in a certain order in order to get myself situated to be able to address all of this. So yeah, like it's very real. That's what's going on. Those agencies control all of that. That's why all the crazy weather, because of the Fukashima flushing, the levels were so high probably all across the globe, I'm thinking, because I see where all the tornadoes were. They did all that to stir it up, to stir the particles up and to like suppress them with the rainfall, and then the winds and the tornadoes stirs it all up and spreads it, so then the particle level isn't so high after they do all of this, because it takes time. It takes weeks to months to flush away each giant flush that they do, each release into the ocean. It takes weeks to months actually, over a month for sure. And then same with how Ford spills down the street as well. Same thing, takes months. The one time in 2021, it took 2 years to clear before I was safe in my own home. And that's why I had to leave the area for some time and put a tenant in my home, who then destroyed my entire home in 1 year. It's all connected. They do all this when there's all different types of spills. But it is very real. It's not, they don't want people knowing what I know. There is agencies controlling all of this, and that was the reason for all of those tornadoes all across the United States. It was all controlled. It was all man-made. To stir up the particles, to hopefully make it dissipate, because it was very, very strong. At no time was that ever even a level that should be considered safe. Like, because I know there's an agency controlling that. I forget the name of it, but there's an agency in Japan trying to say it's safe and these levels are safe to release into the ocean. None of that is safe. I can't have particles of any kind of any level. So to me, none of that's safe. But not only that, what they had done recently, the levels were so high, that was the reason for all of the storms. They had released so much and it had blanketed the entire planet that they had to begin to figure out how they're going to make it dissipate further, because the levels remained so high for so long, because it's been about a month almost. It's been about 3 weeks since they began releasing this stuff, maybe a little longer. And that's how they do it. It's the controlled weather. That's where all the tornadoes came from. Everybody's wondering why this strange stuff is floating in the air. What are these strange particles? Why this, why that? It's all connected. It's all there. But people don't have the injury that I have to the degree that I do. So nobody would ever be able to know the exact information that I have. I don't need somebody to tell me anything. And that's what all these idiots don't understand. So if you watch my phone call to the city of Flat Rock several months back, I believe it's the Ford Flat Rock spill number 3, video number 5, where I call the city, and you can tell the guy's talking to me like I'm an idiot, like I have some mental disorder, because that's what my mother has called and told them in the background. And he can't figure out where I'm getting this information from or how I know all this. Well, because I am that injured, and because my brain tissue is open. I don't need somebody to tell me. I'm telling you what the problem is. And then I released videos where they show the flushing right after my phone call the next day, and then the fire right above it because the particle level was so high of the gas. Same concept with the Fukashima flushing. At no time is any of this shit safe. It's spreading across the planet, and they had to stir it up to begin to dissipate it, because it was nowhere near, even, let's say I wasn't injured, even regular people, it's still not considered safe. I don't care what agency is saying that it is, it's not. That's the reason for the tornadoes. They figured out, oops, we released too much. And that's where they end up creating the tornadoes and the crazy weather and all the crazy stuff flying out of the sky. That's what that's all about. So I'm sure you can get more information on the geoengineering.org website that I was talking about. He's probably got more information than me. I'm just speaking from the symptoms I'm experiencing, what I've been through, how I understand how it all works, because this isn't the first Fukushima flush, and it does make me really sick. So I've had to stay indoors the majority of this time, after Ford had already spilled for a 3rd time, and I was already homebound for a few months from there. And so this went right into the remnants of that. And so I have a very serious condition. I don't have a choice but to know these things. It's not like a choice. I don't get to say, oh, well, yeah, I'm just going to go outside today. I don't get to do that. So there isn't somebody in the same boat as me to back up anything that I'm saying. But I'm telling you from firsthand experience, that's what's going on. That's why all these tornadoes, that's why all the crazy weather, that's why all the shit's crazy flying from the sky that you've never seen before. They're experimenting with it too. Who knows what the hell that shit is? It's all different types of stuff. So I don't know if they're going to do it again. But I do know initially, prior to all that happening, and just prior to me releasing that first video I released, the levels were very, very high. All the individuals around, and in like a 20-mile radius, all had some type of, it wasn't really an illness, it was from what was being flushed. So regular people with no condition were experiencing all those symptoms. So that just tells you right there it's not safe. So you can watch my video on that, the Fukushima number 5 flushing, I believe it was. And they're expected to do this for like 20, 30 years. So I don't know how that's going to turn out. Clearly I'm going to have to stay ahead of the game if I want to stay alive. But yeah, this is all truthful information. This is how it works. I don't care if you don't want to believe it. That's reality. If you don't want to believe it, then you're just dumb. You're just that ignorant that you can't figure out the realities of what's going on in the world and the bigger picture of everything. Because I've just come across so many people that are so ignorant to it all and don't want to believe it because they were told otherwise. But yeah, where'd those people get their information from? Somebody got paid to tell them that. They didn't learn it firsthand like me. So if I'm falling over dead from wildfire particles being in the air because it cuts off the oxygen to my brain, then obviously that's what's going on. So, yeah, I don't know. I just thought I'd share that with everybody because I'm noticing all the extreme weather ever since I released that video. I knew how high the levels were just upon me going outside for about an hour. It was very extreme. I messed myself up bad. So that's what they're trying to do is flush it to a more tolerable levels so that people like me don't figure out what the hell is going on, because they don't want people actually knowing that that they're over here flushing Fukashima into the oceans and in the waterways and blanketing the entire planet. It's not made known to the public. You'd have to dig for that information. You'd have to have a reason to dig for it and then find it, like I did. So yeah, that's what's going on. Check out Dane's website if you want more information on all that stuff. Everything on there is 100% truthful. And I'll be back with another one. Thanks. Bye.